Welcome, everybody, to SaltyChillersEntertainment podcast. This is Herodarkness.
Salt Logic.
Which numbers?
Valentine.
Tonight's podcast, we're talking about music and behavior and how it's affected us and how it can affect people in various settings, and not just the music we listen to, but also in the games, in movies and TV shows as well. And to start us off, the first question is, does the choice of music affect your mood or behavior?
My answer is yes. And here's my thoughts upon why. Because there's been many times I've been playing games and watching movies and that, and it's just really consumes you out. It adds to that mood. You can be watching a sad scene and the music can be just right way. It sort of brings out the feels with me. There's been many times I watch TV shows and does that. Since Ballast it plays that nice, upbeat, fast-paced music which draws me in. So I'm saying that yes, the music that it plays can change and can affect your mood.
I agree. There's an entire psychology behind music in movies. It's placed, and the somber tones, like any kind of tone in the movie is thought out because they want you to have an emotional reaction, and we are really, really good at correlating smell and hearing to emotion and memories. So it does affect your mood, especially if you're like in a bad mood and you listen to some music that really helps out, or you're in a happy mood and you want to keep the happy going, so you listen to your favorite, like, I know for me, like when I'm cleaning, it's really funny. I have to listen to hardcore rap, like while I'm cleaning, because it helps me stay motivated to like get through the dishes, do the floors, do the laundry, and it's like DMX and like Dr. Dre and really like hard-hitting rap music. You can just imagine me doing my like dishes listening to like DMX.
Yeah, see, if you just seen the look when you said you listened to rap, I immediately turned my head to the sound like on my window as if I was actually looking. But that's kind of surprising. I didn't expect you to do that. Now, see, for me, when I'm doing like housework and things like that, I personally like to listen to dubstep. It's just something about it that gets me moving. That I just will pretty much stay focused, believe it or not, on what I'm doing. That's probably strange, not the same for everybody, but it's one of those things that works for me. So I would have to say yes to the question.
Yeah, Val, you
Dubstep, I love it.
You mentioned how like the music in movies are particularly picked and everything. I remember listening to the behind the scenes stuff, the extra bonus features of the movie Interstellar. And in the movie, and you listen to a lot of the organ sound. Now, Hans Zimmer, the composer behind it, stated there's a reason why he did that. He wanted it to be an organic feel. He wants to make it feel like you're there and create this organic feel. Why is it that music is so crucial for us? I have a hard time going a day without listening to any music. Like, I'm in the car by myself, I have to turn something on. Do you know why that is?
I'm guilty about this. I listen to music all day. Just probably 5-10 minutes ago, I was just listening to music now. But, there's a time and place for everything, and I had to stop that.
There's a 21 Pilots song on that very thing called Car Radio.
Yeah, I like that song.
I love that song because it's like, it's so true. If I was driving alone, and I did try once to just drive around with no music on.
I can't.
And I felt like I was I felt like I was in a tornado of my thoughts, like driving around. You need that music to to distract you from the silence.
Yeah, like I said, I can't do complete silence. When I do complete silence, I become very paranoid with everything around me because I begin to hear things, and I don't like hearing things. That's partly the reason why I have music playing all the time. Even at work, I listen to music pretty much from the beginning to the end of my shift. I probably shouldn't be, but I mean, it's one of my bosses. He doesn't care. He doesn't get on to me about it. He knows I'll listen to it, and so I just continue to do it. Keeps me focused, actually, which is weird.
Okay.
I also tend to listen to music while I do other things like studying that because that last what Saul says, so makes him focus, and listening to music can help me focus during studies also. It's something quite interesting. It has a lot of effects. I remember, I don't know if I'm going off topic or deviating from what I initially started from, but there was a study that was done a while back about how music can affect the brain, can bring out memories to things, and can affect our thoughts and who we are, but certain songs can help you out. So I believe, I could be wrong, that there is rehab dealing with music. Help people out.
There is a field of study called music therapy, and that may be what you're talking about.
That is. So that there shows me that it can really affect someone in different ways.
Well, we actually did a study back when I was in college, and it was just this little class study. It was this research class that we practiced out doing studies because that was my main major. And the teacher was like, all right, I'm going to teach you, and you are going to read with this song on. She was like, we're going to have this song in the background, and then when you go home and study, I'll send you the file, and you have to listen to this song as you're reading about the subject. Then, in a week, we're going to take a test, and it's going to be based on what we've read, but I'm going to be playing this music in the background. And she was basically trying to show us how subconsciously we link music with other things. And so we ended up studying with that song on. I ended up just playing it anytime I read the article that she wanted us to read. And then a week later, it was a pop quiz. Well, not pop quiz, but more like a quiz. And she played that music. And by God, did we all scored high. Because we could remember what we learned because that song was playing in the background when we learned it. And it was so fascinating because I did so much better listening to that song during the quiz than I had done in quizzes in the past. And it just shows that there's a direct link between our brains and our senses.
Very interesting, and that is true in so many levels. We tend to remember things associated with music. Some people say before you take a test, listen to classical music, it'll help you out. Now we also say we tend to pick the music for the mood that we're in. So if we're in a sad mood, do you think we pick music that will help resonate that sadness? Or if we're in a happy mood, we'll find something that is upbeat, happy, and so on and so forth, if you're angry and things along those lines.
I completely agree with that.
Is there any correlation of why that is?
Well, I mean, there's some days where I would probably listen to more somewhat hardcore things, like where it's like, I'm gonna say like heavy metal and things like that. It just depends on how I feel. There's some days I listen to things that are a little bit more calmer, more soothing, and then it really varies on how my mood is and just kind of how the day plays, so to speak. Because there's times where I will listen to a variety of everything in one day and not care, just because I don't care. It's just, I want to say a mixed mood, but that's probably not it. That's just normal me. And then there's some days where it's just depending on how I personally feel, kind of reflects on what exactly I listen to. some may be chippy and happy and things like that, and the other may just be a little bit, not that way.
Do you think we listen to that music because we want that feeling amplified? We want to feel because we are such emotional creatures?
I think so. I think that I know that a few years ago, you guys know, I don't know if the listeners know, but I went through a really painful divorce. And there were times where I needed to cry, but I couldn't. Because I was just like, I didn't know why, but like, I just really couldn't cry. But I knew I needed to cry to get those feelings out. So what I would do is I would get in my car, I would plug in my phone into my car, and I would listen to all the songs that elicit that feeling from me. And I would cry, and then I would feel better. Sometimes you need that push to get to a point, because I didn't want to go, it was either going to go, I was going to bawl my eyes out, or I was going to become really numb. And as much as I do not like crying, I do not want to feel numb more than that. So I would make myself cry with songs that, like, our songs or songs that we played at the wedding and stuff, and just like bawl my eyes out. But it's therapeutic.
That, and there are some songs that, what's the word I'm looking for? Explain or express things that you yourself probably can't explain, either because you can't find the words or you find it hard to.
I agree.
Oh, that's true and accurate. I mean, that's things that I have found because I remember doing similar study back in high school, how to do senior research, and I researched things, and the music we listen to does affect our mood. And that leads to another study, and that's the next question. Does the music we listen to affect our behavior? For example, if I'm in a calm mood and I want to ramp myself up and get myself angry, will the music I decide to listen to make me angry?
I want to say it has to depend on how easily swayed you are. Because for me, I don't ever get that feeling when I listen to things like that. Or anything of that nature. But it's just me. I don't get swayed that easily by music. Like, well, let me put it this way. Angry music. Let me clarify that real quick, because it's going to contradict what I just said a few minutes ago.
I have to listen to a certain type of music when I go into one of my jobs that I don't I don't like a lot, because there's just so many reasons to count. But I don't particularly like working at this job, but I need to. I have to, and I want to help, so I'm there. And it depends on my mood on the day, but I will have to listen to a specific type of music on the way. Like, sometimes it's 90s alternative and E6 and, Throw My Heart in a Blender, and then sometimes
is that how work makes you feel?
Sometimes
I'm sorry.
Sometimes I want to put like their head in a blender, but yeah.
You can't do that. That's frowned upon.
I know that's called murder, Shalice. But
We don't do such a thing.
And I'm trying not to be in jail, so
there's a time and place for everything. This is not one of them.
That's funny, because I messaged you this week and I was like, I want to stab my shears in something, and you were like, no.
if I'm not allowed, if I'm not allowed to, you're not allowed to. Anyway, carry on.
But anyway, like, lately it's been 90s alternative, but sometimes it's rap, sometimes it's a specific playlist on my phone, whatever it takes to get me in that mindset to where the client has no idea that I'm miserable there, because that's all people want is customer service. So I have to get myself in that mindset, and music helps me do it. And it helps me battle against the music that is playing there, which is easy listening, which I really want to claw my ears out at the end of my shift because it's all Celine
easy. It's not
Dion,
easy. Ew. It's not easy
Whitney
listen
Houston,
when.
Whitney Houston, and Backstreet Boys. Like, it's just bad. It's bad. Ugh.
Thank you. I feel like you are right on the money that it does. Rich, do you have any thoughts?
One thing I can think about now, it goes back a couple topic back. I just didn't let the conversation roll about how it can affect stream memories and whatnot. I was thinking about earlier this week, but again, that's been sort of done and talked about, so I don't want to go back and retouch that topic again since we already talked about it already. But overall, the music really can affect what somebody says and think. That's my understanding. So I then put in a video aspect. Some people can say sometimes it's the music and the colors that can get people then addicted to video games, which I'd be quite interesting how people can view that. How they get the music just right, they get the color scheme just right, or you then want to go back to play the game just the music because of the way it
Sets
feels
the
playing the game.
mood. Now, I want to slightly interrupt you for this one. Take Bloodborne, for instance. If you notice, the only music that ever plays in that game of any sort is during boss fights only. That
On average, yes.
they did that, I want to say, for a reason to set the mood. Now, I find it slightly distracting because I enjoy listening to it. At the same time, I can't listen to it and fight a boss on Bloodborne and keep my sanity. Mr. Hero can testify to that.
Not lying. That actually leads into the next question: is how has music in video games or movies or TV shows affected your behavior?
Just so you know, it didn't make me salty. It was just the fact that I kept dying.
Stop
I'm gonna
lying.
stay
It
down
did.
right now.
It did. It did. Stop lying. I know which boss you're talking about.
Much on Orphan it costs?
It's the one that has the weird cage on his head that does the whole
Oh,
tentacles.
God, okay, no, see, he's a hacker, bro. And I am on New Game Plus, and the defense in that game doesn't work as well as it should. So, carry on.
Well, but that is an instance where the music has affected because it feels like that you are more hyper attentive and that you're super focused in. Are there any other instances that you can think of? I know Val hit on that point. You know, you listen to movies or watch movies, the music plays, and if they want to have a tear-jerk moment, they're going to make the music go just right where it's a tear-jerk moment for you and you just want to bawl your eyes out. And the same thing is true if you watch horror movies. They have the music sounding suspenseful and things along those lines so they can get that scare out of you where you jump in your seat and such.
Jump scares are best scares.
And it's sometimes
I'm
another
sorry.
cue. I've learned, I'm not a big fan of horror movies, but if there's no music, you can also anticipate that scare. So
Oh crap!
what are
Because it's
your,
quiet and you don't expect a noise or a sudden sound to appear. That's
And
like
then
when
it
that's like
does.
if yeah, it's like if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night and you can't see because no lights on, and you hear something move or fall or whatever. Well, that will scare the living out of you. As for me, I have a cat, so I pretty much expect a sound if she's not in the room with me.
what are your thoughts on that question? Music in video games, movies, or TV shows affected your behavior or your reaction to things?
It can really affect people because it. I'm trying to think how to say this correctly without. Music can affect the way you think. I will say that. You listen to the song with a slow beat and sad lyrics, some people feel sad. Some people want to listen to upbeat music, people screaming. Or, well, on the angry side, some people get mad and they listen to that to work out to leave anger. So I believe that music does have an impact on the mind. And then you put that in the video games, it could affect the way people view games, what they see.
Yeah, just think about like a soundtrack like Final Fantasy versus a soundtrack like Silent Hill. Silent Hill, like, I cannot play in the dark. I know some people do, and hats off to you who play in the dark with Silent Hill and it's just your TV and you can handle like the volume being up and stuff. I can't do that. So, but like Final Fantasy is like more epic music, so you kind of feel like a hero when you're going through Final Fantasy. And I know we all live for the da 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 da.
Don't get me started. I do that too much at work in my head. I can hear it. It's stuck in my head. Don't get me started on that, please. But no.
But I'm saying.
The soundtrack and stuff for Final Fantasy is meant to set that mood because you are fighting, so it wants to kind of keep a mood that's very similar to, you know, that current predicament. Not necessarily predicament, but yeah, in general.
But you know,
now that's stuck in my head. Thanks, appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I've heard it like all day because I've been doing Final Fantasy 14. We've been doing Final Fantasy 14, so I've been hearing it like.
Well, I mean, you don't quite hear that tone, but yeah, you get something of that nature.
And what can she say except
like...
you're welcome?
Thanks? Question mark.
You're welcome.
Also, that's currently what I'm doing right now.
But like in Silent Hill, for different contrasts, like the music's very solemn, very moody, very like you'll get to a point and it's like strings and you're like, oh my gosh, something's about to come out. Or like sometimes they'll have no music and you'll just hear the creatures. And that's like the most scary thing because you can hear it, but you can't see it. And I know in Silent Hill 3, when you're walking down that corridor, the only thing you hear in the corridor in the mall is whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And it's one of those like no-face creatures that spit tar on you. And it's the scariest thing in the world. So good job, Silent Hill. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, Bloodborne and some of the From Software games have similar things as well in their games where they just have complete utter silence and then something just comes out. Or you just hear a eerie sound, Bloodborne again, before the boss of that.
Take the sound effects and you're just walking around. And you hear the fucking crow dog, and you hear the crows that sound pretty close to a dog. I'm not gonna lie. Although if you ever stop to listen to the crows and they jump and flock at you, they sound like freaking dogs, not actual crows. It's weird. It's very well put together. I love the atmosphere to it, and especially the settings. It works entirely too well.
I think the same thing with a calm game like Life is Strange. I was addicted to playing Life is Strange not only because of the story but because of the soundtrack. I even looked in to see if I could find if I could buy the soundtrack because it was so good. Like I was addicted to it. It was like it's set in Portland and there are trees and mountains everywhere and this like acousticy kind of indie music comes on when you're playing the game and it's just calming. I loved it. I wish there was a Life is Strange 2, but I don't know if that's going to come out or not.
Give it time.
Yeah, well, I get antsy.
All good things wait till those who come. Wait. Anyway.
Does Rich have any thoughts on the topic?
No, I think that covers just about everything I wanted to talk about.
And lastly, the final question that I have at the moment is why is it important to be mindful of the music that we choose to listen?
Well, if exposed to the wrong audience, it could have an effect on them mentally.
I think that music can affect you in the same way it can affect you for the positive. If you listen to too much like sad, somber music or too much of one thing, and if you're easily influenced by music like I am, I know Salt isn't, but I'm easily affected by music. I have to be careful because if I listen to something too sad, well, I'll get really sad. And if I listen to something really angry, well, I'm easier to be angered. Yeah, like death metal or something like that. Like I love it when I'm in the right mood for it, but like I need to be cautious and aware of what I listen to, or else I could have a really bad day at work. It could affect some of the things I say or how I react to things, and just being mindful all around is a good idea.
I would like to call Salt out. He's lying through his teeth when he says music doesn't affect him, because studies
Hey,
have shown
like
that music does, whether you think it or not. It does.
okay, just because it
Shots
does doesn't mean
fired. Shots
every.
fired.
Listen, no, listen. Just because, yes, there are some genres that do affect, but it's not, necessarily negative. Like the things that are violent, things like that, they do not make me negative. Usually things that are moving. I messed that up. Anyway. Usually things that you're, moving and things like that, yeah, that's probably the only thing that, will affect me, and that's just, gets me up and going. But, like, it doesn't, okay, well, actually, no, I'm gonna lie on, no, okay, you know what, just take everything I just said and just throw it out the window, because I did realize there have been a few instances where that's probably false. So it's exactly what I just said, having some, depending on my situation after I stop actually thinking about it, that does. So, let's just end this conversation, let's just, yeah, we're good.
Point proven.
After I stopped to actually think back way a while, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, man, never mind, we're good.
Rich, any thoughts on your end?
No, not really.
Because music does affect a lot of portions of our thing, and I do say yes, you need to be mindful, because music can keep you in the environment that you're putting yourself in if you're not careful to the music that you're listening to. Because there was a time when Destiny 2 came out, there is a song called Journey in there, where it has a string quartet playing, and the way it sounds just jerks a certain way that I connected, and I would listen to it a lot. And I found myself going back and listening to it, finding the YouTube pages where it's an hour long, just to listen to it, just to have it there. And then one of my groups that I like to listen to, Starset, recently released a acoustic version of a song, and I've been listening to that non-stop almost every day since I came across it, or since I've gotten the notification saying, hey, they've got a new song, you should listen to it. I'm like, all right. And the same thing, it connected. So yes, you need to be mindful of the music, especially if you know that you're easily get emotional with music that you're listening to. Be mindful of it. If you know that this type of genre will get you a certain way, then don't listen to it. Now if you're in a situation where you can't get out of it, then just deal with it and find your escape. Go to your own world inside of that you have created in your own mental realm to retreat back. Does anyone have any final thoughts on this topic?
I would say yes, but I got nothing.
I have nothing. Like I said, I touched on what I wanted to touch on.
I mean, just that there is a correlation between emotions and music, and then sometimes, too specifically, the listeners listening on, like if you're feeling nervous or anxious or down, try to listen to some music. Try to, close your eyes and go in your room and just listen to something that helps. I mean, sometimes it helps turn my mood around, and because I'm not a bouncy ray of sunshine all the time, that would be inhumanly possible. But
Wait,
it
you're
it really does
not? I
help.
thought you were.
I am as much as like probably 90% of the day, but
I've been
sometimes I do
deceived.
get I do get sad, and I do get depressed, and music sometimes
Okay,
helps
there's
me.
nothing
So
on me.
shut up.
Sorry, sorry. I'm sorry. I was the first thing that came to my mind.
I do agree with what Valentine is saying. If you need something to pick you up or to calm down, it's okay to go back in and do that. Sometimes, for those who may struggle with sleeping or falling asleep, find a song or white noise that can help you go to sleep. There's this one channel I like to listen to. Don't remember it right offhand, but he has Cello by the Sea, and it's cello music with the sound of the ocean on it, and it's just awesome to listen to. And I can just play that in the background and be okay, and I'll actually fall asleep to it.
Mhm.
And this guy has various other things as well, where he has it set for different things to help with anxiety or just various things, and it's a great thing to have and to listen to. And we'll leave that in the description below, along with some of our other things that we've talked about as well. And as always, thank you for tuning in and listening to the podcast. A like, a share, a comment is always welcome and appreciated. And if you want to be in the know when we first post out our videos, there's that nice lovely bell button, which YouTube sometimes acts weird about. But feel free
Ding,
to
ding, ding.
hit that bell so that way you're in the know and can keep up with things. And if you want us to touch again on this topic, or you want to carry on the conversation, do so below. So this has been Herodarkness.
Salt logic.
Which numbers?
Valentine.
This has been a SaltyChillersEntertainment podcast production. And as always, guys, stay salty.